what?
In the foyer.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Ah, that doesn't count. It was before tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next presenter, this is going to be awesome. It's going to blow your mind. Long live the Kings!
Push to the right to get it to go forward.
You push to the right.
So, I have an Olympia, Washington accent, so I hope. Okay, so I'm Jacques White. I'm the executive director of Long Live the Kings, which is a nonprofit organization focused on the recovery of wild salmon and steelhead and supporting sustainable fishing in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to talk about a big project that we have going and a very small portion of that. Salmon are an indicator of the health of our environment. People have lived on salmon in this area for a millennia. The Native American tribes here in the Pacific Northwest have a treaty with the U.S. government that allows them to catch half of the fish. So it's very important to them that they have fish around to catch. Our southern resident killer whales that are listed on the Endangered Species Act as endangered also rely on Pacific salmon. Specifically, 80% of their diet is Chinook salmon, so it's one species. But people also, the health of the environment here is critically important to us and our future generations. But we have a problem with salmon. Not only are our whales listed, but 3 species of Pacific salmon are listed here in Puget Sound under the Endangered Species Act. And one of the reasons for that is very weak marine survival. So this figure shows on your left, shows the marine survival of coho in Puget Sound and the Strait of Georgia up in Canada. And what this shows is the percent of juvenile salmon that leave rivers that return as adults successfully. As you can see, about 1989, survival fell off precipitously in these inland waters, but it didn't change much. A lot of variation on the coastal rivers, but no real trend. So in Puget Sound, one of the real problems we have, and it's a big mystery, we do not know why these salmon survival is declining so much. And it's a shared problem between US and Canada. So my organization, Long Live the Kings, and our partner, the Pacific Salmon Foundation in Canada, got together and formed a very large, very ambitious research program, over $20 million, with 40 different partners. You can see some of these agencies and organizations up here are very powerful, but it took 2 nonprofit organizations to put this together. There's over 150 people doing research on this topic now in the field this summer. So the important questions that we're asking is what caused the decline, and why aren't they returning? Why aren't they recovering? So juvenile salmon in the marine environment are controlled by the climate, which in turn controls our weather, which in turn determines whether or not there will be food resources available for these salmon. But also, diseases and predation can also affect juvenile salmon in the marine environment. For the rest of this talk, I'm going to focus on the relationship between juvenile salmon and one predator, harbor seals. Parallel with the decline in marine survival of our salmon has been a huge increase in the number of marine mammals, particularly harbor seals in Puget Sound and the Strait of Georgia. So is this decline a correlation, or is it a causation? So a brilliant PhD student at the University of British Columbia thought, is there some way that I can measure seal predation in the environment? And he used a tool called a pit tag, which is a passive transponder that when it passes through an electric field, you can get a reading on fish moving in and out of rivers or in and out of a particular system. This receiver technology has been miniaturized to a handheld device. And what Andrew thought is, can we take this device and turn it into a mobile device on a seal so that in the environment we can release pit tag fish, and when a seal ingests one of these fish, we'll get a reading in the marine environment. If we attach that to a GPS, we know where that happens, when it happens, and we can send that signal through a data receiver on a satellite, and it can be beamed to my desktop, and I can count salmon being eaten in the environment in real time. Andrew approached an organization in Redmond, Washington called Wildlife Computers to build this device. No, this is not the bellboy and the Grand Budapest Hotel. This is actually Hermes the seal in the Vancouver Aquarium with one of these devices attached to his head. And in our trials, we looked at things like swallowing time, how long does this take for this event or this device to get through the system, the detection rate of the different sizes and types, the projected battery life for this device, and false detections. Is this a fish swimming by or one being ingested? So what we found is that there is indeed a difference in detection between smaller and larger tags. The swallowing time is considerably longer than the average swim by, so we can tell the difference between a chance encounter in the environment versus ingestion. And the battery life right now is about 15 days. So we can deploy these devices for 15 days. They'll stay glued onto the seal's head for about 30 days, but that's what we've got. So the program right now is to do the feasibility testing. That's done. Now we're going into the field and we're testing this with wild seals in the field in a controlled program. So the things we're going to do is put these on wild seals. Then we're going to test the satellite transmission to make sure when these seals are moving around in, say, the mouth of the Fraser River up in Canada, that we can track them. And we're also testing an accelerometer to see whether or not we can turn the battery on and off to save battery life during ingestion. So this is one element of the research. We're also looking at food resources for the fish, their health, and also looking at diseases and other things. So this is an overarching, comprehensive program, U.S., Canada. Look up Long Live the Kings online. You could donate tonight. You could go on your smartphone, go to our website, donate now if you want to help us with this effort. Also, please do Twitter about us. I would love to have see our name, cool research, tech, salmon, hashtag Salish Sea, hashtag Marine Survival Project, all that stuff. Really helpful. So that's my presentation. If you want to learn more about it, we have some stuff. I have some brochures and things out in the hallway. And if you ask a question, I'll give you a hat. Yes, sir.
Have you attacked the problem of what is causing the seal population to increase?
The Marine Mammal Protection Act. Hugely successful.
I'm sorry, maybe you said that and I missed it.
No, it's not a problem. You get a hat anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Yes, sir.
My daughter is into marine biology. How can she get involved in this?
She can contact me and I'll help her. Good for her. I'm actually an oceanographer. I was trained as an oceanographer and did that for many years before becoming kind of more of a proactive manager activist type. Yes. Yes, sir.
So how did you guys come to the conclusion that it was the seals and not some externality? I mean, I know they've taken out a lot of dams. There's a lot of there's been a lot of research around what's causing the decline in the salmon population.
The marine survival is just the data that we have. We have data that shows that between the river mouth and when they return, in fact, between the river mouth and the Pacific Ocean, there's a huge die-off. We know that 80% of the steelhead die in the first 12 days in the marine environment when they leave the rivers. And so we don't know it's the seals, and that's why we're doing this research. This is to determine whether or not it's the seals. It may be food, it may be disease, it may be maybe the fish are leaving the rivers with some kind of disease that then slows them down and makes them more susceptible to predation. There's also some, in Hood Canal in particular, where there's a floating bridge, there seems to be some interaction between that bridge and the outmigration behavior of the steelhead and the seals and seal predation.
Are you comparing natural fish populations with the hatchery populations,
yes,
or
we are.
Using one?
But we're looking at both. Yeah. There's a lot of money to look at the wild ones because the wild fish are in decline.
You only get one.
Okay, one more? Yes, sir? So, I'm sorry, you got the last hat, but I have a t-shirt out. If you want to come get it, long sleeve. Oh, I'm sorry. He gets the hat.
So,
yes.
So what would you do if it turned out being seals? What's the next steps after that? Is it the seals?
Once in Hood Canal, we might try to do something about the bridge. There might be some mitigation we can do if there are certain seals. It turns out that our early indication is that only certain seals are interacting with the steelhead, and other seals may not be, so maybe to relocate them to California or a zoo or something. We may try to fix the bridge. We may have to, there's a real problem we may have to euthanize. I mean, the problem for the seals is that the salmon are listed on the Endangered Species Act, and the steelhead, and the seals are not. So they are protected. So anyways, thank you very much, everybody.